Master Way. Alrighty, y'all. Welcome to the first ever episode of Seek Joy, the podcast, a safe space for sinners where vulnerability is welcome and God is the foundation of what we're doing. And to be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing except following what God's really called me to do. So the first episode's really about why are we here? How did we get here? What is this all really about? And to really invite people into a space to feel safe, to talk about their testimony, to talk about how God has worked, to talk about how God's frustrated you at sometimes in life. So I'm going to start back to how I got here in the first place. Back in the summer of 2023, God decided to rip a lot of things from my life and ask me to start over and ask me to allow him in. Because God's always been there, but I had to allow him to take over. And he stripped me from my career. He stripped me from the money that I knew. He stripped me from a lot of worldly things that I was allowing to be where I found fulfillment. He stripped me of my ego, my pride. If you would have asked me 6 months ago if I had a pride or an ego, I would have told you no. I would have told you, nah, like I'm out here working for the community. I'm out here, serving vulnerable populations. Like an ego, pride, what do you mean? Like, look at what I do. Nah, fam, that was not the truth. And so he really sat me down and said, child, I need you to see you're really glorifying things that are not me, that are not of me, that are not from me. Though he does use everything. And I was like, all right, okay. So July, I took my hands off of literally everything. And I was like, all right, God, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? Because I'm all in. I have nothing right now. I lost my entire career path that I had built for about 7-8 years of my life. Because to be honest, I would have gotten fired had I not asked myself to leave and my boss had helped me leave. And I had to take a step back and really evaluate, where am I at in life? So I first started going down this mindset journey of, let me just flip my mindset. It's all about my mindset. Like, if I flip from thinking this way to thinking this way, but in the back of my head the whole time, God was like, it's me. But to be honest, getting really deep into your faith and talking about God, having everything to do with it, can be terrifying when you grew up or you're in a community that's not all about faith-based relationship and having a deep relationship with God. So I felt silly. I felt funny being like, everything's God's and I'm going to give it to God and whatever he wants to do, I'm going to do it. Because people will look at you like you're literally bananas if you go from living in a very worldly way to switching to wanting to live in a very godly way. And so I wrestled with that a lot for a while with myself about even allowing myself to say, God's in everything. It was really difficult for me to crucify my flesh every single day and allow him to win. And so I said, all right, God, what do you want to do? Where do you want to take me? Because I don't know where I'm supposed to go anymore. I thought I was going the way you wanted me to go. Turns out I was going the way Cheyenne wanted Cheyenne to go. And he was like, I really think you're meant to build community, build relationship, draw people to me, have people come closer. And I was like, okay, what does that look like? Because I'm also learning God gives you one step at a time. He's not always going to give you the full picture. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to do none of that. He's going to give you one little step at a time because he is our foot lamp, though he is the light to the whole world. And I was like, okay. And again, my flesh stepped in the way a few times where I tried to even do this podcast on my own. And then he literally laughed in my face and was like, bro, you're so funny. I need you to go find people that really know what they're doing, which also brought me here to Statehouse Studios, which is a lovely, lovely production company here in Columbus, if anybody's searching for any place to get a podcast done or some studio stuff. So I took my hands off. I was like, all right, God, let's do this production thing. Let's do a podcast. Because I initially thought he wanted me to do a YouTube. And he again laughed in my face and said, child, I told you this is meant to be community. And I said, okay, let's do it. What do you want the podcast to look like, God? He's like, I want it to be about me. And I want it to be about how people have wrestled with me, how they found me, how they choose to want to move with me throughout the rest of their life and never go back. Because that's the testimony of my life. When he took me, I'm telling y'all, he did not let me go. He chose to keep me in this space of always wanting to learn about him, always wanting to dig deeper into our relationship and into the word. Like when I tell y'all I can't go a day without reading my Bible, I cannot go a day without reading my Bible because I feel so fed. I used to think I was getting fed through partying, through sex, through, these accolades from people. And like in reality, that was only giving me a quick little like, oh yeah, that feels good. But like living in the word and through the word and with God, like is the most beautiful decision I've ever made in my life. And it's so difficult. But we're here and we're being obedient because I think obedience is a big piece of a relationship with God. And I said, all right, let's do this podcast thing, man. Let's go. If you're in it, I'm there. If you're there, I'm there. And so it's going to be a lot of just conversations with people. There's no agenda. And that's already freaked some people out that are interested in being guests. It's like, hey, this is meant to be conversational. This is really meant to be whatever God places on your heart to talk about in the moment. And that can be scary, to allow yourself to even unlock that level of vulnerability, because that was something I've learned, or I am learning on this journey. Because like I'm telling y'all, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm out here and I'm trying. Is to just really find a way, because vulnerability is such a superpower to get people to unlock, to let go of trauma, to let go of fear, to let go of these things that are bonding them. And you can just be set free when you really choose to like walk with God. And I think that that's what this podcast is here to do, is build that community, share testimony, share how God can really change your life. And we're going to see where it takes us. And that's the beauty of a few things I wanted to share with you, kind of giving you an understanding of where I was versus where I'm at. And so even back last summer, 2022, not 2023, I was in kind of a dark place. I think I had to even admit to myself that I was in a dark place, take accountability for who I really was, how I was really feeling. Because I would literally write in my journal, because this is my journal from that summer, where I would say, I'm terrified to even be vulnerable with myself on paper in this journal. Why do I hold myself back still? I'm questioning a lot about myself and within my career. I'm afraid I'm a closeted narcissist. Do I even know what I want in life? I feel like my brain never stops moving. And I just keep going on and on about things that I disliked about myself. Like, I don't know how to accept love without thinking it's transactional. I have guilt over the way I treat myself and the way I treat others. And it's just this slew of all of this like kind of like word vomit where I finally allowed myself to be vulnerable, but also share with like, God made me perfectly. But at the same time, I'm tired and I'm confused. I feel like I can't keep my brain straight anymore. I'm complex and dynamic. I'm afraid of failure, but I'm too prideful to admit it. I'm trying to figure out who I am and what I want. I'm 26 and I'm crying out loud for help. I'm in my prime. I should be happy. Maybe I'm not meant to be a leader. Maybe I don't actually want to be a leader. I'm scared knowing what I expect of myself at 26. What the hell am I going to expect of myself in 10 years? So this was me last summer really wrestling with who I was, where I was at, what my calling in life was, not even understanding like, it's not up to me to have the calling. God's got that calling on my life. Like, I don't pick and choose where I'm going to go. God tells me where I'm going to go. And I just always had my hands in the mix because the world tells you, get the new job, get the promotion, the money, the this, the that, get the house, get the car. Baby, I had the car, I had the house, I had the good job. I had like the things you're supposed to have in a worldly sense, and I still felt so empty. So the beautiful thing is, I have a few different journals, y'all. When I allowed him to start to take over my life, I really stepped into poetry. Because first of all, the Bible in a lot of ways, it's a lot of poetry. It's a lot of parables. It's a very beautifully written book. And poetry has been something for me, it's very much a release. And also a way that God allows me to express myself, but also express him to others. So this is something I wrote in September of 23 called Frivolous, where I wrote, God placed something on my heart, and I thought he did it frivolously. I thought it was something meant to be kept inside of me between him and I, a feeling and a desire no words can write. But God smiled at me, and he said, baby, I have called you to be someone who parts seas. Now, not literally in the sense, but rather with intention and with impact. He placed in my heart a bravery to be vulnerable in spaces most won't be, to breathe life into lungs that feel empty, to be a light for those that see no way out. God said to me, child, I know you're scared. I know sometimes you feel weak, and I know you're unsure of how much to include me in your story. I know you fear talking about me around those who don't believe, or accrediting your growth to me. I know you desire to love on and reach those that have no relationship with me. And he said, child, listen to me closely. If you love like Jesus and not like those that use the word Christian as a way to turn up their nose, if you can use sin and shame as a way to make others feel seen, if you can listen without judgment to encourage others' vulnerability, then how on earth could you fail? You have me. I see your heart, I see your fears, and fear no longer, for I have always been here. God did not place my purpose on me frivolously. He knows my love for diversity spreads from difference in thought to difference in culture and belief. He knows my heart is pure and is constantly reminding me, God is love. I use you as a vessel, meaning you are love. And what more beautiful gift to this world than love? And that, my friends, is what this podcast is all about. Gifting love, gifting a safe space for sinners to come and share their testimony, to hopefully plant seeds and bring light to the rest of the world. So if you feel so called, I would love for you to fill out the podcast form on my Instagram page, which all that stuff will be linked below. If you feel so called to sponsor, you feel called to share this with somebody, you know, I want this to be a genuine space of love, confidence, vulnerability to say, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing, but God's in it, so I'm going to keep moving. Because that's all God asks us to do is just take the step, and he's right there beside us the entire time. So don't fear the step. Don't fear the unknown, because that's where you'll find something you may never know that you would have found had you not taken that step, y'all. Thanks so much. See you next time.